LDComics is a women-led welcoming to all forum run by creators. We champion the graphic novel form, particularly works with an autobiographical voice. Our activity is towards supporting and equipping graphic novelists, especially but not exclusively people identifying as women. Established in 2009 by Sarah Lightman and Nicola Streeton as Ladies Do Comics, today LDComics is run by a committee of published graphic novelists: Rachel Ball, Emma Burleigh, Lou Crosby, Wallace Eates and Nicola Streeton. From the start, the core of LDC's activity has been the monthly meetings, hosting presentations from invited guests to a public audience in a welcoming atmosphere for networking and making friends. The introduction of LDC online monthlies aims to replicate the joy and stimulation of our physical meetups. Everyone is welcome.
Okay, so thank you for having us. I'm Clarrie, and Blanche is going to join me later on in the presentation. Just on this first page, you can just see at the bottom there, that's my website, clarriepope.com, and my Instagram handle, skyrat_post. Okay, so first of all, we're going to talk about Welcome Home, which is a graphic novel that I wrote with my sister Blanche. It was shortlisted for the Myriad First Graphic Novel Prize in 2018, and it was published by Minor Compositions a couple of weeks ago. It's about a group of squatters who occupy an empty flat in a council block that's due to be knocked down. It's about their relationships with each other and their relationships with the other people who live in the block, as well as our protagonist Rain's work in the care home. And that's what Blanche is going to talk about later, because it's kind of inspired by her own experience working in care homes. Just before we start, I just wanted to say a little kind of tangent, but quite an important tangent. I've seen a lot of LDC presentations online, and quite a few times I've noticed that people have talked about people that they've lost and the sort of grieving process, and how drawing comics has helped them through that. And I just wanted to say that was exactly the same experience for me. We lost our mum in January 2018, and we'd already actually written the whole comic before then, but I hadn't actually done the drawings yet. So the deadline for the Myriad Graphic Novel Prize was actually 2 weeks after mum's funeral. So a lot of those, like the first pictures that I drew were when my mum was very ill and after she died. And then obviously in the years that followed, I drew the whole comic. And so it was all done through the kind of grieving process. And so I just wanted to say that I sort of like identified with what people had said at other presentations. And also that, Welcome Home is not explicitly about death or grief or mothers, but that's kind of all there. And I just wanted to say that I find it, I suppose all art is like that, isn't it? But it was a kind of very helpful in terms of that. But yeah, anyway, getting back to Welcome Home. So we're going to read two short sections. Just to say, the penultimate page of this section it looks a bit strange because it's been edited so that we could sort of fit it into the time that we had, which is why it looks a bit strange. The first page you can see there, you can get an impression of the sort of the way I like drawing. You can see that there's like different things happening in different flats. You don't necessarily know anything about. You might know more or less about different characters, but some characters you really don't know anything about, but they might even reappear, like the woman at the top with the black cat and the spotty jacket. She kind of reappears throughout the comic, but we don't really know anything about her. And I wanted that's a kind of a bit like How You Live a City, I think. So that's kind of part of the style of the comic anyway. Okay, so I'm just going to start reading, and I'll do some explanation if I feel like it's necessary. What a shit day to be born. Fucking hell, it's freezing. Various skip find heaters. Twister, which never stops twisting. Retro style, doesn't really get warm. Blower, alternating between boiling hot air and freezing cold air. Classic style, gets very hot, although it has a not unpleasant burning smell. Then we've got a fry up there. Britain doesn't get better than this, although probably non-vegetarians would disagree, so there probably should be some bacon there, really. And then you've got behind her there on the wall, the octopus, an octopus which has been drawn by her irritating flatmate. Fucking hell, it's freezing. Happy birthday, me. And then a girl that she fancies who lives with her walking past. Hi. Oh, sorry. Happy birthday. Oops, I can't actually see what I'm... And then she's watching various dogs on skateboards. Ow. You haven't seen my copy of The Dispossessed, have you? I wanted to lend it to Jamie. No, nowhere. Almost wish I was at work, Strappy. At least then I'd be being paid to feel like shit. Hey. Oh, happy birthday. Why are you wearing a helmet? Finish your book, read it in 10 minutes flat. Really? I've always been known as an extremely fast reader. My brother even timed me, 5 seconds a page. That is quick, are you sure? As the Yanks would say, you do the math. How was it? Yeah, not bad. It was okay. Pretty epic, really. I'll tell Ava to read it. Thanks. You know what? I'm even starting to like the octopus. Really? Well, it's kind of stupid, but... So anyway, you've got a motorbike now? No. A scooter then? No. So you're borrowing one? No. Love peanut butter. Well, yeah, you've not answered my question. What question? Why the helmet? Why the what? Why are you wearing a fucking helmet? Oh, that, yeah, shit. Oh, sorry, I can't hear very well with it on. Ah, freedom. So, I found it in a skip. And, well, it was free, so... Right. Oh, God, Yaz says we're a load of lazy dossers and why aren't we at the protest? Oh, fuck, when does it start? In, half an hour ago. Come on, then. You taking that? You don't think I should? I mean, why would you? Yeah, good point. Okay, I'm going to pass over to Blanche now.
Yeah. It says my connection is not very good, so let me know if it starts going funny. So I'm going to read a scene from the care home where Rain works, and you can see the way Clarrie's drawn it and laid out. The scenes in the care home are all very rigid and like regimented, to kind of give a feel for work compared to the more
Blanche, unfortunately, I think you're cutting out. Oh, you're back.
I could do it on my phone, maybe.
Blanche, why don't I go on to the next bit and then we'll do your bit at the end. You get onto your phone.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, so we'll skip that and we'll go back to that page. So that's Welcome Home. And I just wanted to, I've got another little scene, which is from my next comic, which is Love's Labour, which was longlisted for the Ladies Do Comics Prize in 2021. It's about a teenager whose mum has cancer and she takes on her cleaning job at this kind of middle-class, middle-aged couple's home. It's about her relationship with her mum and also about her relationship with this couple and their relationship with each other. I'm just going to read now a little scene between the couple where you can see that they've got some trust issues. Sorry. John, have you seen my CND earrings? Which ones? You know, the ones Sylvia made, they're in our photo downstairs. I thought you lost them ages ago. I had lost them, but then I remembered a few weeks back they were in here. I gave you that box. I know, it was very sweet. I was very in love. Yes. I thought you'd forgotten about it. No, it's always been there, in the airing cupboard. You never really liked it, did you? I did. I do. It just doesn't really go with the room anymore. So the earrings, you haven't seen them. You can't have worn them for at least 30 years. Yes, but I want to wear them now. Maybe they got lost when we redid the bedroom. No, I found them in here a few weeks ago. So strange, I definitely left them here. Maybe you imagined it. No, definitely not. Or dreamt it. For fuck's sake, John, I'm not mad. I told you they were here. You're not listening. Yes, I am. Well, why aren't you looking at me then? I was just trying to help and then you shouted at me. I'm sorry, it's just horrible being made to feel like you're mad. No, of course you're not mad. Okay, so that's the end of, that's a little taster of Love's Labour. I was going to go back to this. I don't know if Blanche is back.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah.
So I was just saying that I worked as an activities coordinator in care homes for a while, and it was while I was working, while we were writing the graphic novel, that's what I was doing. And I always had stories about things that had happened and things that people had said when I got home from work. But it's really nice to have had those little moments immortalized in the book. Yeah, like particularly with the character of Doris, the residents that I really loved kind of shine through in Doris. But also in this scene, you'll see there's a man called John who is really difficult and angry. And there was a man like that when I was working at the care home who would always just pour scorn on all of my activities and just make my life really difficult. And I remember ringing Clarrie up after work and moaning about him, and she said, why don't I put him in the comic, which was actually really nice. And it was really cathartic to be able to put in those kind of negative sides of it, not just people like John, but also the care home manager, Julie, who unfortunately was quite a lot like the woman who ran my care home. So I'll just read. Excuse me, how old are you, please? 27. Just tucking this under your bum. Me too. I'm 28. Really? Oh, yes. Wow. You're so lovely. Are you married? No, me neither. Is that okay, Dennis? Aren't you married to Dennis, Doris? Oh, God blimey, not him. That wouldn't do at all. He doesn't like sex. Oh, dear. Luckily, Nelson Eddy loves it. Who's he? Just pulling this between your legs, Dennis. A real man with the voice of an angel. Somewhere over a rainbow. Wasn't that Judy Garland? Oh, no, she died in a terrible state. Look him up, Rain. Oh, yeah, found him. Nelson Eddy. Oh, he was my boy. Do you want to hear a song? Do you have a record? Really? Do you like Mr. Eddy too, Amara? Love him. There you go, Doris. Turn that music off. I'm watching a television. Well, no one else is, John. Don't worry about him, Doris, because they're all dribbling idiots. Julie, they're playing music. I want my mum. I want my mum. How many times do I have to tell you, girls? No phones. And Amara, tie your hair back. See, I told you, turn it off. What's your name again? I'll get you the record, Doris. I'll write it down. I said, what's your name? Shame. Rain. What sort of a stupid country does that come from? A sort of stupid country called Britain.
Okay, so now we're going right to the end, which is actually just the last our last slide. Just yeah, that's my website and that's my Instagram handle. And links to plays, if you're interested in buying Welcome Home, the links to that are on both of them. And obviously, if you do read it, we would love to have your feedback. Thanks very much.
Thanks to everyone who's watching this today, and thanks to you great ladies that showed your comic. I really enjoyed watching it. I'm going to show a little bit about my journey being an author, comic author, and then I will show you a little bit about my next book, which Emma introduced about Jojo Keefe. But first, like a little bit of my trajectory, only in comic books, because I also do painting, murals, and commercial illustration. But I think we all here love comics, and we love comics made by women, by ladies, as you say, ladies do comics. So I'm gonna tell you a little bit about that. I like to start with this quote that one of my editors said to me once: "Let it look like one of your zines." I always try to remember this quote because when I started, I was doing zines at home with like a 30 heroes budget. And I was doing like such a small edition, like 10 zines, and but I really loved them, and I treated them like they were this big project. I always did them with a lot of care. Handwriting everything, and it was so special for me that I published it anywhere, and to this day I'm convinced that this was the thing that made me a career. Like my editor, the editor that I work with the most, he knew me because of my zines. So I always encourage everyone that wants to have a career in publishing to start making zines and treat them like a proper book, because they deserve it, because it's something that you do from your heart. So this was my first zine that I dedicated to the first galleries that did an exhibition of my work in Porto, in Portugal. And this is my second zine. As you see, I did not have like a real business mentality, because I only did 10, and I think I got like more than 100 requests for this zine, which made me very surprised. Like, I didn't know, when I did these zines, I was so free. I was not thinking about what people would like, or definitely not what would sell. So I always try to remember that spirit and channel that spirit in everything I do. Like the thing that got me a job, and the thing that got me a career, was doing what I really honestly loved in my heart, and not thinking about what was gonna be a success. This is it's very funny to me, like seeing that I was doing drawings on the envelopes, because nowadays, for good or for bad, I don't have the time for this kind of details. Like now I get the honor to publish with bigger publishing houses, or publishing houses at all, because I did that myself. But since I have the time, I was paying so much attention to detail, and I really love this. Should I answer now, or can I answer now?
It's up to you, Maria, but normally we keep the questions to the end, but if it feels relevant and you want to, go for it. Yeah, up to you.
Okay.
But you don't have to, but yeah, normally questions are at the end.
Okay, then I'll answer at the end, if it's okay. Then I started to get propositions or requests to do comics. This one was for a compilation. This one, it was like 20 authors between illustrators and people who write the texts. And I think we were more than 20 women doing this book. And I was commissioned for a short story and for the cover. And since you told me that you'd like to hear like some intra stories about the business of being a woman in this industry, I wanted to tell you about the intra story about this cover, because I should translate this for you to get it. This book, the title, Enjambre, it's like a beehive. And they wanted to title that because the bees have like a queen, like it's a feminine animal that rules, no? Like it's a she. So they wanted something with like a beehive. So my first proposal was this queen, because it was not only a feminist book, it had like a social character. So I thought, okay, I'll put a queen in there with like a factory behind, and like lots of bees coming out of the factory, but it's the queen that has the honey, no? So kind of a double lecture. But how can I say this without going to jail? Okay, in Spain, our kings, I mean, they were in the news because of money-related issues. So the publishing house said nothing about monarchy. And I told them, but it's a queen, so no one would associate with the crown in Spain because it's a she, because we cannot have that here. So, but they told, okay, no monarchy at all. And I say, okay. So my second proposal was this one, and I really loved that one because someone told me there's a movie about like, how do you say, like a low budget movie about some women that they are fed up with all the sexist world, and they turn to this and they like trash everything. And I thought that was perfect for the comic. And I wanted it to look like a terror movie, like a low budget movie. And the thing that the publisher house said, they said this was aggressive. So I want to show you something that this same publisher house publishes on the regular. They are the same publisher that does this. Also this, and also this. So if I should translate aggressive with this cover, it's because it's aggressive for girls, as they think, no? That it's the thing that I learned very first on my career, that as a woman, it's not that it's more difficult for you to publish or to get jobs. It's that they expect something different from you. Like they don't expect violence from women. They don't expect, I don't know, sci-fi from women. They expect like something like more sweet or caring or very emotional, driven. So that was very disappointing. But I learned a lot from this. And if anyone is curious, I did not get this cover. I only got this woman that works with bees. So I don't know the name in English, that the people that works with bees. It's the only thing that I could get approved. So Then I did this comic book. And this was like my first comic book, only mine, because the previous one, we were like 20 authors. And this was my first as an only author. And it was, it was like a small publisher house. And like, I love those, but I really love working with big publisher houses, because I don't wanna know about distribution. I like a publisher house that takes care of the media, takes care of press. I really love that, because I don't want to know about anything other than drawing. I don't want to know about anything. I like everything taken care of, so I don't have to even think, just draw. This was my first illustration book. Like, it was less like a comic, but I don't really like definitions when I work. I get that definitions about comic and illustration and such are great when we try to teach something, but when I work, I try not to have these definitions. And this was a book about human phenomena. And then I got like, I got my first book with like, I was super excited for them to have like the, I always said like a fat book, a book with like 300 pages. That was like my goal, no? And this was my first book. It's a book about, fat spine. Yeah, that's the word. Thank you. And like a hardcover. I was like so excited to have a hardcover. My publisher didn't tell me it was a hardcover until I saw that. He knew, and he did a surprise for me, and I was so excited. This is a book about Hollywood stuff, but not like the love stories. The stories about the movie directors, casting issues, all of that stuff. I love Hollywood gossip. So this book, it was my first fat spine book, so I thought I had to get serious, like all the text should be done like with the computer and all that stuff. And the only thing that my publisher said to me, let it look like one of your zines. This has been like his only suggestion to me, and now we've been working together like maybe 6 or 7 years, and this has been his only suggestion ever. Let it look like one of your zines. And I always try to remember that it's because I did my designs with zero expectation, and I try to keep that spirit. This is a book about Hollywood. It's only details here, like almost every page has text. And it's in Spanish. I didn't get translation for this one, but maybe in the future. I always hope for translations. This one, this is another one with the same publisher. This is a book about the Paris in the 20s, all the artists and the bohemia and all the art that was burning there at that stage. And then we did this like a really vintage look. I loved this book. This one I did not do the yes, I do handwrite. And this one I did not do the texts, and someone did the texts, and I did the illustrations. But it's more like a book. It's not like a comic book. It's not like an illustration book. It's just the theme is Paris. It's a book about Paris in the 20s. So it was more like a little chapters about anything from croissants to Montparnasse. And then we really enjoyed the process, and we did like a same book, but with La Dolce Vita theme. And this one is about, since my publisher knows that I love cinema, this one is about when all the Hollywood actors and directors filmed in Cinecittà in Roma, and when the phenomenon about paparazzi began, and all the actors from Hollywood, they were in Rome, and they were like having these parties, and like it was fascinating, and this book is about that. And this in this book, I started to mix a little more, because I put paintings in this book, like things that I have never tried, like put paintings in a book. Like nobody was telling me that I cannot do that, but you don't. Sometimes you put limits on yourself without anyone telling you that. And this is my last book, Georgia O'Keeffe. Sorry if I say O'Keeffe, because I know that it's O'Keeffe, and as you can imagine, I've investigated a lot about Georgia. I know everything, but I got used to say O'Keeffe, but it's really O'Keeffe. And I enjoyed this book very, very, very much. I started when COVID hit, and imagine what was for me like seeing her living in this desert, like living free. And for anyone that doesn't know Georgia, she was like a very free woman, that she lived in New Mexico, and the desert is like another character in the book, because it was so important for her. And this is really my last publication, that it's my Georgia O'Keeffe book, but translated to English, which I'm so happy about, because it's my first English translation, and I'm so happy. You cannot imagine. And I designed, if I can say that, this typo about the first charcoals. Georgia did this charcoal works first, when she first started to find her style, and I really love those. And I haven't had used charcoal since I was studying fine arts, because for me it was so academical that I left charcoal behind, like it's not. But when I started investigating more with Georgia, and I saw those, I did this typo with like inspired in her charcoals, and I decided that I was going to use charcoal in my book, not just pencils, because what I use most of the time is mechanical pencils, and all the color is digital. This is Georgia at first, when she was young, in her hometown. I just gathered my favorite pages. Some of them I will try to read to you. This is when once she had like a very important experience for her. She was walking at night, because she was an avid walker. She took walks, a lot of walks, like maybe like 4 hours a day, and she loved to walk at night, which I love, like a woman alone walking at night, because it's something that sometimes we cannot do because society. But she was so fearless, and she never stopped doing anything because of fear. She talked a lot about fear. She always said that you feel fear, but you don't stop because of it. And this night when she was walking, she heard like the calves being separated from the mothers, from the cows. And she said that this sound stood with her all of her life. And then she painted this. And like I've seen this painting live, and it's like I get goosebumps. And she did another version of this painting, like maybe 40 years later, just from the memory of the sound. And just a fun fact, I don't know if I could call it fun, but when I was looking for pictures, cows pictures for drawing this, I stopped eating cows. I cannot anymore after I saw those pictures. I cannot. This is some pages that about the pictures that Stiglitz made about her. Stiglitz was her husband, and they had like a real special relationship, very dependent at first. So Georgia took flight, and they remained married all of their lives, and they loved each other, but they had I don't know how to say. They wrote letters. I couldn't say the word letters. They wrote letters to each other, like thousands of letters, and they visited each other, but she was mostly free. And this is a page about Stiglitz's insecurities when she discovered Georgia. Like he was overwhelmed by Georgia's talent. And he always had like this insecurity around her. And I wanna read this page because it's one of my faves. This one is very descriptive about their relationship. So Stiglitz says, "Dearest, they're all fascinated your latest works on flowers. Everyone's writing about the woman who paints from her gut. It's a clear reflection of Freud's theories. Woman feels the world differently. The man feels it. The woman receives the world through her womb. Mind comes second." And I really love that Georgia just says, no, period. Because I really love that she was so assertive. Like she never explained. She just refused things, and she never explained like these kind of theories that Stiglitz used to sell Georgia's work about. He had this idea that women were like mystical creatures, that they didn't think, they just felt emotion, and like really reducting the image of women, and Georgia rejected that. But I mean, it was her own way to reject things, like not being confrontational, just acting accordingly to her and rejecting those ideas. And I wanted to show this page because around this page, I decided that I was going back on my work for this comic, and I was adding rays on her hair, and how do you say, marks on her skin, like age marks, because I'm very conscious about ageism in our work, because I've seen a lot of wrinkles. Thank you. Because I've seen a lot of work about historic women and like recovering our memory from women that were like so great in the history, but I still see that we draw them like very ideally, like on her young years, or always Thank you. And always like very just ideally, and I don't like that. So I'm very conscious on picturing women more realistically. And with Georgia O'Keeffe, like she was more interesting, more electric, more hypnotizing as she got older. Like I really love old Georgia. And this page is, I think it's also interesting because the United States, they started to have their own arts zine, which they didn't have before. It was the 30s. So everyone was obsessed with having like the great American novel, the great American theater, the great American painting. So Georgia says, I'll make it an American painting for these people that don't go across the Hudson, like snobby artists that only lived in New York and they didn't know the rest of the country. And she says, when she paints with the white bones against the blue sky, she said, although the best are the ones that have turned white from the sun, they were most wonderful against the blue, that blue that will always be there as it is now after man's destruction is done. I cannot see the text, but she says something about that, about like when the destruction that we do to the planet is done, this blue will always be dead. So I think it's fascinating that she was talking about ecologism in the 30s. She was like very pioneer in this. And this one I'll show you fast because we have little time and I talk a lot. This is when Stiglitz died. And this yellow that it's like dimming, I used that yellow like very strategically in the book. This is old Georgia, which I love. And I think you can tell that I love her when you see the book because I draw her like with a lot of admiration. This was her like just admiring a rock and doing something that we now love to say like transcendental meditation. Like she was doing that on the 30s. So one of her last paintings. And the last book, the last page, she says, it takes courage to be a painter. I always felt I walked on the edge of a knife. On this knife, I might fall off on either side, but I'd walk it again. So what if you do fall off? I'd rather be doing something I really wanted to do. So as you can see, I love her. I could cry talking about Georgia, and I really hope everyone can read it. I won't be rich if everyone buys the book. I won't be rich either. So I'm not saying it because I want to sell my book. I'm only saying that because I really love Georgia. She did very great things for my spirit, and I think everyone could have the same.
Thank you. Firstly, it's a pleasure to be here today at LDC Comics. I haven't been for a while and it's lovely. Well done, everyone. So Distant Connections was formed from students from my first graphic narratives course at the Royal Drawing School way back in May 2019. They were the first cohort to experience my, what I would call, unique style of teaching, because you see, I don't exactly teach how to make comics. Instead, I encourage students to find their own way to tell their stories. I create a safe space to explore personal work, and I encourage students to stay in touch after the course to work together to self-publish, so they get their work into the world and have their work seen and be read. Anyway, as this teacher, non-teacher, I can say I've certainly learnt more from these students than I could possibly have taught them. Distant Connections are an exemplary group of artists in their own rights, original, free-thinking, each one on their own individual art journeys. And as a collective, they have been exceptionally prolific with 3 beautiful zines, as you can see, they've had open calls and competitions, created a wonderful website and web presence, sold work in shops, zine fairs, and even have work in a National Art Library at the Victoria and Albert Museum. Yet through all this self-made success, they remain consistently generous-hearted, and they've returned each term to visit my graphic narratives class to teach and support my current new students, sharing their knowledge and helping them on their own self-publishing journeys. For this, I continue to be massively grateful. So it is my honour and privilege tonight to introduce you to some of the members of Distant Connections: Vanessa Lawrence, Michael Green, Gail Dennis, Hei Zhu, Yvonne Mitchell, and Claudia Matosa. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sarah, for that introduction. I'm Vanessa Lawrence, and I'm joined tonight with Gail, Michael Green, who's part of graphic medicine, Claudia, and he. So we've come together tonight to share with you our experience of making a zine, and we are Distant Connections. So I'll just go on to the next slide, I think, because it shows us. Yay. So we met at the Royal Drawing School. I was already going to the Royal Drawing School before lockdown unfolded, and as lockdown unfolded, I'd applied for the drawing year at the Royal Drawing School, and that was all kind of put on pause. So I was kind of curious what it would be like online learning, and to me that was a very new world. I wasn't really an online person or in social media or anything like that. So for me, it was really, really new. It was a really exciting challenge, I guess. So I joined the course, and it was amazing. It was genuinely amazing to connect with people, you know, meeting strangers online, and then you realize that the thing you're connecting about is the thing that's most significant about you, you know, and it was a really incredible experience. And I think you know, I wanted to explore graphic narrative. I wanted to explore how my work fitted into that as an idea. And I think Sarah's right when she says, you know, she helps people find their way in that world, and that was my experience of it. So if we go on to the next slide. Fantastic. So yeah, I was just going to say about Sarah that she's just incredibly inspiring as a tutor. And I think it was a really hard task. I think it was the first online course with the Royal Drawing School. Everyone was kind of new to this global lockdown experience. Sarah had students connecting from all over the world to have this experience. And the unexpected happened. You know, I think Sarah genuinely facilitated us creating a creative community that was really significant and meaningful to us. And 2 years later, we're making work. So it was a really powerful experience, and I was surprised. I was surprised that all this could come from this kind of moment. So if we go on to the next slide. So Sarah was really freeing. I'd say that through that 10-week course, there was somehow I felt it was easier to be that little bit braver, and not just the coursework that you make. We've all done courses. You do the coursework, and then it's taking it the next step. And that's a sense of having, I guess, that accountability to your work, that it becomes what it needs to be, and then it finds its place wherever it needs to exist, whether it's in an exhibition or whether it's in a zine or wherever it needs to be, that it finds its place in the world. And she had a simple plan. It was fantastic. It was like, this is a simple plan. She's like, keep the same Zoom slot because you're all used to meeting up. So it's part of a routine. And this was the thing about keeping the community, our creative community, our little creative hub together. Find the name, the theme kind of found itself. The first theme of our first zine was, through our coursework, it was the collective experience of lockdown. And then we sort of came up with the name, the Lockdown Lowdown, graphic narratives for viral times. And it was pushing out coursework that little bit further about having the theme with the unified experience of the moment. And there were other elements that came in, which were, I guess, things that we'd explored on that 10 weeks. And we'll talk you get Michael in a little minute, we'll talk about his work, but that was really powerful. That was really powerful for many of us. So we all put £20 in, that was the plan, all put £20 in, all make 4 pages. And there's that real sense of collaboration and equality in that as well, which was really exciting and simple, and affordable and doable. And that was really great. In design, there were people in the collective that had that experience and had that skill for the first one as it started to grow. Gail will talk a little bit about that later. But about assembling all our work together. And I think the thing that I was really struck with was it felt like when we made the zine, it did feel like not only that we'd all come together, but like our work almost is it a book, or is it it's almost like a gallery space of ideas. And how they were kind of curated and kind of came together. It was really exciting. And at that point, it still was very much a global lockdown. So if we go on to the next slide, Claudia. Yeah, great. So for me, it was this really exciting moment of exploring how to make graphic narrative, or how I would make graphic narrative. And I love drawing. I love drawing from film. I love drawing performance. I love narrative. I love poetry. I love creating poetry, putting words together, seeing images unfold and flow. And so it went from these sort of ideas of making this to seeing it in print, which was really exciting for me. And we'll just get straight on, I think, to who's been really inspiring throughout this whole journey. So he was,
hi.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm He Zhu, and I come from China. When I joined Distant Connections from Sarah's course, I was an illustration student at Edinburgh College of Art. And in my university courses, we learned different illustration techniques, and we use different media such as woodblock printing, children's books, and make artist book, and so on. But during the pandemic, our program at university was changed to online teaching, including many hands-on courses. And the sketch on the left is a drawing of my classmates in the online class, and we all look a bit absent-minded. But working with members from Distant Connections kind of gave me a different experience from my university course. We don't have many rules on what tools and materials to use. And I really enjoy the part when we collaborate and brainstorm topics for a new zine, or come up some ideas about how to sell it. From zine 1 to zine 3, my ideas for these comics simply came from my everyday life and stories around me, such as this page from zine 2 is about plants takeover of my bedroom because they grew so wildly during the lockdown. And in zine 3, I interviewed my aunt, who is a nurse from China. She talked about her experience when she was commissioned by the local government to join the very strict quarantine wards, and I turned it into a comic. In general, it feels just so amazing to tell stories from my hometown through comics and to collaborate with a group of amazing international artists from our Disconnection groups. And I'll pass over to Michael now.
Well, first, it's just it's such a delight to be here, and so thanks for the opportunity. And I just have to say how inspiring the work of the previous presenters was to me. I'm still processing that, because I was really quite moved by the beautiful work that you're all doing. So the experience with the Sarah's course and with Distant Connections has been really interesting for me. So by way of background, I'm a physician and a bioethicist, and been very involved with the graphic medicine community. I was one of the founding members of that group and the organization, which is, for those who don't know, it's people who are sort of interested in the intersection between comics and medicine, which there is a lot of overlap when you look into it. And so up until the course and until the pandemic started, I was working as a physician and also as a teacher, educator. I'd been teaching a course on comics and medicine to medical students for about a dozen years, well, probably 10 years at the time. It was really quite a busy academic and not having much time to do my own artistic exploration. I was just busy doing other things. I had the opportunity to go on sabbatical during last year, and I had been planning the sabbatical leave for several years, and then COVID hit. And my plans were to do a lot of international travel and learn how other people are integrating comics into medical school education and looking at the graphic medicine community throughout Western Europe primarily. And then COVID happened, and like everyone else, our lives changed. And so instead of spending a year traveling around Europe and meeting with friends and colleagues, I spent my year on my back porch, which it turns out is quite a lovely back porch. I'm sitting there right now, and I feel fortunate to have this lovely space to do this, but it was very different than I had planned and expected. But what I was able to do is to focus on my art. And I think a lot of artists have found that, especially during the initial phases of COVID, it either stifled creativity or opened it up entirely. And for me, it was really a great opportunity. I had nothing else to do except work on my art, and that was really quite great for me, I have to say. And I live in a very nice part of central Pennsylvania, rolling hills. It's very beautiful, and so I spent my time taking classes, Zooming, with making new friends all over the world, and riding my bicycle in central Pennsylvania, and exploring things creatively. And so the course really helped bring this all together, and was, like other people, in Distant Connections, I was really quite thrilled to be able to continue as a group after the course ended, because we liked each other. We were getting to know each other better, and we decided let's keep going and make some zines. A lot of what I was doing was sort of focusing on, what was relevant in my life at the time. And it was really quite a dramatic contrast between sort of the before and the after the pandemic stuff, because right up until the sabbatical started, I was like right in the thick of things, in the front lines of being a primary care physician. I was, my background in bioethics, I was actually leading what we call the COVID ethics task force for a large academic medical center, where we were busy trying to create policies for making decisions of, who gets a ventilator when there's not enough ventilators for them to go around, and how do you ration scarce medical resources. It was like incredibly intense. And then sabbatical hit and all that ended, and I was like, wow, I got a lot on my mind here. So anyway, this has just been a great experience, and I brought in the graphics medicine community to the second and third zines. And so other people who had an interest in some of the themes we're exploring also got involved. And it's been quite fulfilling. So I'll stop there and pass it on to whoever is next.
Hi, I'm Gail. So I'm the next one, and I'm here. I'm going to talk to you more about the cover and the making of the zine. I wanted to highlight that one of our members, Eva Mitchell, is a doctor. She's tonight on duty, but she was a doctor in the intensive care unit at the hospital while we were doing the zine. So she couldn't make the zine number 2, but we had direct news from the hospital during the lockdown. So it gave us a big, we had a lot of information about what was going on. I myself am a filmmaker working in animation and film, and during the lockdown, all my projects stopped. Which was very depressing, and I had also to do some homeschooling with my son. And with Sarah class, I found that drawing was a great way to be in the moment, do whatever I wanted, and it was a great tool for freedom and creativity. And as Michael said, a great way to make friends. Since then, we meet weekly, every Monday, even if it's for 5 minutes or half an hour. There is always someone to talk to, and that's really great to have. We have kept this Zoom meeting. So for the covers, we had 3 zines, and I was trying to kind of keep the unity and the identity of Distant Connection, and having some very colorful covers, and show the diversity as well of all of us. Sometime exploring the theme we had for the lockdown, lowdown, or the special issues, the impact, the creative spirit, the creativity against adversity. I worked in InDesign to put all the work. So the first zine, we had 64 pages. Because of my background in animation and production, I had a mind for planning things together. So when you do a zine, whatever the ending format, is good to have that in mind, especially if you plan to have several artists together, just to have a kind of unity in the biography or the portrait at the end, or the style of the zine. So I don't have much to say. Yeah, we try to keep it professional. So we have this the barcode and the price in the back, the cover, and that is a way that we can sold online, and our zines can be found anywhere in the world with this little ISBN. That's it. We can go to the next slide.
Hi, so the next slide is me. So following up from what Gail said, after we had the zine done, we were in lockdown, of course, and everything was closed. We couldn't get our zine to any shops, at least the first 2 ones. So we had to come up with a way of promoting our zines and of putting them online and selling them online. I think none of us at the time had any experience with online shops, so it was really interesting. We had to set up an online shop and find out how to ship the zines to our customers who are buying them. We kind of organized a kind of a little operation to send the zines. A few of us were sending the zines, the others were creating postcards. We were sending them from our homes. So these 2 ones here that I think Sarah showed in the beginning, the one, this is the second and the first edition. They are in A5 format. So we had to buy special envelopes for them. And then at some point we had our 3rd zine last year, and it's in A4. So we also had to kind of switch around the way we were sending them, and it was quite interesting. Something else that we also had to do was a website, and this is it was to show our work. There's some pictures of the zines, as you can see here. You can see who we are, and you can see the artists who participated in our zines. So, for example, as Michael mentioned, in our 2nd zine, we had some people from the graphic medicine group. So they are here, and you can see who participated in each zine. It was also making this website also shows how kind of each person of our group has different skill sets. So I make websites, so I manage to do this, and it's quite cool. So we've got, for example, Gail, who is a filmmaker. So she, as she said, she is really organized. We have Vanessa, who manages our social media, and so on. So it was really interesting, the group that came together to do this, how our skill sets kind of fell together to create this. And I'm going to the next slide. Let's see. I think this may be Vanessa.
Fantastic. Yeah, I'll take this one. So we managed to get 2 zines out. And the plan was we were going to make these zines and then we were going to take them to comic shops and get them out into the world. And we kind of went a different route. But the minute that the zine fairs started to open up again, it was an opportunity for us to meet up in real life. And it was at Hackney Comic and Zine Fair in 2021 that some of us met up, because it's an international cohort. So some of us met up and the rest of them we sort of zoomed from that square where it was launched, the Hackney Zine Fair. We're going to just skip on to the next slide, Claudia. So on International Women's Day, we decided to grow our creative community a little bit. And we sort of had this idea, we had the theme of Zine 1, which was about lockdown. The theme of Zine 2 was actually through a graphic medicine drawing prompt, which was Kurt Vonnegut's "If This Isn't Nice, What Is?" So thinking about maybe the sort of lighter moments in that, through that experience. And then on International Women's Day, we launched a call for artists, and it was an idea of opening up our zine or our platform and growing our creative community. And we approached Ladies Do Comics, we approached graphic medicine, we approached people like Kerry Fransman, and people that we thought were really relevant to creating this. And we had some funding and input from Oxford University. Renee, who couldn't be here tonight, but she's a lecturer at Oxford University, looking at finance and feminism, or gender disparity in finance. And so that was kind of, sort of steered the theme. And there we are, selecting the work and putting it together, which was a task. We had a brilliant response from Open Call, and we had a brilliant response from the people we asked as well. It was a really incredible community moment. This one's great because it shows, it's just the who was involved, and it just shows the array of talent that came together from first time graphic narrative creators, either at the hospital. She did a workshop with nurses. Gail went there and made a workshop with nurses that had never drawn graphic narrative before, and their work was in print. They talked about the experience, so it was kind of like zine making as documenting the moment, and such a wealth of talent, from emerging talent, young talent, and really established talent, shoulder to shoulder, side by side. So this was our launch. We had all this experience. We kind of hadn't celebrated it. So we cast around different places, and it was difficult because the lockdown was easing, but a lot of places still hadn't opened up. And so we organised a book launch at the Barbican Centre. But these are the bookshops it's in. It's in the Feminist Bookshop. It's in Books and Fun in China. And it's in Berwick Street in Gosh Comics as well. So we finally managed one of the steps of Sarah Lightman's plan, which is about getting the work out there in the world and get it physically in shops that people can kind of flick through. And I think if we go on to our next slide, which is this year on International Women's Day, we launched our second open call for artists. And we are also going to reach out to artists that we have worked with before. And it's also an opportunity for us, Distant Connections, to create work along this sort of theme of finding our future. So again, this is another project with Oxford University, and another opportunity to see our work collectively in print. So I think we're there. I think that's the end of our talk. So thank you very much for giving us the opportunity to come and share our work. to everyone tonight and share our story.